Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the Saturday NBA slate. Happy Saturday to everybody watching. We have 7 games tonight starting at 7:30, so let's get into it. If you guys enjoyed the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Been on a bit of a roll. 3 straight wins. Yesterday, Fox, Buddy Hield, Alex Len were great plays. Once we got the news that Barnes was out as well as Holmes, kind of went with a bit of a king stack, and they ended up winning in triple overtime, so it was a good time. Let's keep it going tonight. We have 7 games, like I mentioned. Should be a pretty fun slate. Looking at the point guard plays, a couple things that we can kind of assume right out of the gate that Washington on a back-to-back. You probably wouldn't expect Dinwiddie to play. He hasn't played on a back-to-back this year. I don't think that'll happen right now either. He's recovering from a torn ACL, so assume Dinwiddie is out, and then Mike Conley from the Jazz is on a back-to-back, and he hasn't played back-to-backs this year. I'm assuming he's out as well, which would make some things look a bit different on both sides. So at the point guard options here, you have Luka, Harden, LaMelo as your guys above 10K. I like LaMelo the most out of that group. On this type of slate, with there not being that many great spend-up options, I think LaMelo looks appealing. Looking at the guys just above 10K, I prefer LaMelo over Randle. I like LaMelo more than Durant and Harden. With their elevated price tags, I don't like playing them when they're both healthy, and the matchup is kind of tough against Phoenix. They've been great on both ends of the floor. And then you have Luka, who I haven't been getting too much, but he's playable. But LaMelo gives you similar upside at $1,000 cheaper. So I think you can make a case for LaMelo Ball today at 10-4. Yeah, Bradley Beal at 91. He's going to get more usage without Spencer Dinwiddie out there. He still plays big minutes, 37 around in close games, can get up to 39. More assists, a couple more rebounds potentially. This matchup against Dallas, it's a fine one. Bradley Beal has been okay this year. We haven't seen monstrous games out of Bradley Beal, but he's starting to play a little bit better, I'd say. Shoot the ball a little bit better. He started off struggling. He's still not been great from 3 over the past couple of weeks, but without Dinwiddie, it's a pretty safe spot, I would say, to go to Beal and expect at least 40 with upside north of 50 and 60. Cole Anthony is questionable. He hasn't played the last few. If he's out again today, you can go to Suggs. You can go to Wendell Carter. Terrence Ross, tournament option. Wagner. We know the deal. It's not been anything new. We've been kind of expecting. We kind of know exactly what to do if there is no Cole Anthony. Going further down here, Rozier was 6K yesterday, $6,700 today. He's fine, but I think there's maybe some better plays. I love Kevin Porter Jr. He's only $5,800. There is no Jalen Green, who's out for a couple weeks, which makes Kevin Porter look even better at this sort of salary. He hasn't been this price for much of the year. He's been above 6K, in the mid 6K range. Now he's down to 58 in a great date against Charlotte, who plays fast. They give up points. They're at home. Houston coming off of their first win in like 2 years, it seems like. In like 15 games, they beat Chicago in an upset fashion. And it was probably a bit due to Kevin Porter playing well with 14, 9, and 6. Wasn't overly aggressive, 13 shots in 37 minutes. They're going to need him to do that. Could have been more efficient, but he gives you monstrous usage, monstrous upside, and at 58, looks way too good to pass up. Other plays would be Jalen Suggs if Cole Anthony misses. In the 4K range, you have Kemba if there's no Derrick Rose. You have Colby White, who had a good game yesterday. He probably won't play on a back-to-back. He did play on the last back-to-back, but I don't know. I guess maybe he would play on a back-to-back, but he did play 24 minutes. Was red hot from the floor, 9 of 11. He does give you that sort of upside for tournaments. His price tag is down, so you definitely could consider Colby White. The matchup is tough, though, against Miami. Aaron Holliday would start in place of Spencer Dinwiddie. He's 32, so he's cheap enough to consider. He's never like the best point per minute guy. People are scared to play him. But normally, if he's starting, he can be productive. You only need like 20 fantasy points to be to at least hit value at this sort of salary, or even exceed value a little bit. So that's basically it for the point guard plays. At shooting guard, top end is Zach Levine, Bradley Beal. I prefer Beal over Levine today, given the matchup, and given that Beal won't have Spencer Dinwiddie to play with. Then I would go with Donovan Mitchell. Without Mike Conley, he looks appealing. Some of the other guys on the Jazz might be a little bit better priced, like Clarkson at $5,100. He looks good. It comes off the bench, but we'll get probably a couple more minutes without Conley. Potentially could close if he's playing really well. You have Ingram, solid game yesterday, 78. I don't think that the Jazz will let the Pelicans beat them again today. So maybe this is a game that they end up blowing them out, but they probably won't have Conley, so maybe it will be a little bit closer. But it's just kind of a tough spot for me to go to Ingram on a back-to-back here. They kind of priced up Alec Burks, so maybe Fournier as a tournament option. Eric Gordon should play an absolute ton of minutes. He's going to start again, and he played 37-39 a week ago. He's at 47. He's at a good price. He doesn't do much, so you're going to need him to shoot the ball well because he's not going to get you rebounds. He's not going to get you very many assists. The minutes will be there, though, and the matchup is solid. So he can get hot and put up like 35 fantasy plus points, 35, 40 fantasy points if he gets hot from 3, and nobody would be shocked. So he's in play. I prefer him over Fournier, Burks, Bogdanovich. You have Caldwell Pope potentially option at the 42, but I really like Joe Ingles at the salary. If Bruce Brown is back and he starts, he looks okay at 38, and Colby White at 38 for tournaments. You have Garrison Matthews, who might start in place of Jalen Green at 34. He's kind of a bit risky. The Rockets still have a lot of young players like Matthews. It can go down to Brooks here. If whoever starts, I think it's going to be Matthews, so I'd go Matthews over Brooks. And then Reddish, he looks okay. Not the best kind of spot against New York to target. Go ahead and plug in Joe Ingles for now at this position. Actually, we can plug in Joe Ingles at small forward. Looking at the small forward plays, we have Durant at 10-8. Probably won't get to him unless we get some news that like Harden or somebody like the other superstars out on the team. When they're both in, I typically don't get to them unless they're just super poorly priced or it's like a 2 or 3 game slate. 9K range, nobody that looks that appealing, Butler or Levine. I like Bridges at 79. If there's no Plumlee, looks a little bit better, but Bridges has been playing great all season. He's at a pretty good price tag. Wasn't expecting to pay this much for Bridges at any point this year, but he's been deserving of this price tag. And if there is no Plumlee, again, a couple of maybe more rebounding opportunities for guys like Bridges in the front court. Point per dollar wise, I think Hayward looks better than Bridges at this salary. He's only 65. He's been solid for the most part this year. A couple of bad games if he's not shooting the ball well. But on the year, he's shooting 40% from 3, 46% from the floor. He's been productive. Gets you some rebounds, gets you some assists. He's not dominated the usage like he had in years past with LaMelo there and Rozier and all these Bridges been playing great. But they just have a good core of like 4 or 5 guys that almost all the production is going to come from. And Hayward is definitely in that mix. Going further down here, Gordon potentially looks okay at that price tag Markkanen. 56. Looks like Mobley will be back, so that might hurt Markkanen a little bit, but he's still going to play good minutes at 56 starting at small forward. At the bottom, plug in Joe Ingles here. 39. He should start in place of Conley. At least they've done that before. He's not been playing great this year. Just the fantasy points have been way down. The assists and stuff like that have been down. The shots have been fine. 43, 38% from 3. He's only taken 6 free throws. He's not a guy that's going to get to the line much at all. But a couple of extra minutes here. More usage to go around without Conley. And a very, very cheap price tag on Ingles. Sign me up for that. Moving on to power forward, you have Durant, Randall. They're fine. I'm not going to probably get to them. I like getting to Bridges at cheaper price. I like getting to like Gordon Hayward at only $6,500. That looks pretty appealing to me. In the 4K range, you have PJ Washington. If there is no Plumlee again today, he should start, and he was productive yesterday. 24 minutes in a blowout win. He was in a bit of a foul trouble, but if he starts again today, his price tag went down by $500. So he would look like a great option to consider. Then we have Wendell Carter at 58, who went nuts yesterday in a blowout loss. He was the only guy to really hit value for the Magic side, 26-10. I believe Bamba went to the locker room at some point during the game, but I think he managed to return. Yeah, maybe if his back is sore today, wouldn't be shocked if Mo Bamba happens to sit on a back-to-back, dealing with a bit of a back issue. So if that kind of stiffens up on him during the night. He's not feeling well today. If he's out, be a big bump for Carter. He would get a ton of the center minutes. It would be a little bit of a bump for like Robin Lopez and Mo Wagner off the bench. And then Franz Wagner looks good as well at his cheap price tag at like $4,500. But I would prefer Washington over Wagner if Washington starts again. You have Sengun as a tournament option. Crowder is pretty affordable. Blake Griffin, I don't even know if he's gotten benched in place of Aldridge, so that's not good for Blake Griffin. And that is mainly it. Moving on, I want to mention $3,000 for Davis Bertans is interesting for tournaments. He's only power forward eligible, so that makes it kind of tough. But 3K, a guy that can get hot off the bench. He probably will play like 15 to 25 minutes, probably 15 to 20. So you're going to need him to shoot the ball really well during that stretch. It could pay off. So just something to mention there. At center, they priced up Gobert up to almost 9K. Valanciunas almost 9K. I don't really want to go to either one. I think they kind of cancel each other out. Randall probably won't get to him at that price tag. Capella's been playing great ball in terms of just putting up the fantasy points. Put up another huge game, 56. He's been really killing it and been getting more minutes as a kind of floor. So I don't mind Capella against a pretty big New York front court. But give me Christian Wood at this salary. He's way too cheap at $7,200. The price tag on him was north of 8K. It was north of 9K at the beginning of the month, and now he's down to just 72 in a great spot against Charlotte in terms of just being able to crash the glass, especially if there is no Plumlee. Just better spot and more rebounding opportunities. And we'll get more usage without Jalen Green, who was a pretty high usage player. So I love Christian Wood. I love getting to this game in general. That Charlotte-Houston game looks to be one of the best ones to target today. And at the bottom at center, you have Washington as a guy. That's pretty much it. Aldridge is 56. He's somewhat interesting. Harrell is somewhat interesting at 63, but I think you probably could go down to Gafford at 41, who had a huge game yesterday. 8 blocks against this OKC team. They split minutes with him and Harrell, so if he's playing well, he'll get like 22 to 25. If Harrell's playing really well, then Gafford will only get like 14, 15, unless it's like, or if he's in foul trouble or it's like a blowout situation. But typically he's going to average like 22 to 23 minutes. He looks good as a point per minute guy at the salary. And then I'm going to be able to, at shooting guard, pay up for Bradley Beal for now. I could go down to Donovan Mitchell if I wanted to, but I kind of like Beal at 91 against Dallas without Dinwiddie. It leaves you with $3,900 left. It's kind of just the initial build. So we'll get some changes and stuff as we get more news, especially out of Charlotte. But you'll be able to go with like Washington here. You can plug in Bruce Brown if he plays. Cam Reddish at a pretty good salary. Terrence Ross, only 36. Gives you upside. You have Daniel House. You have some of these Houston players. House, Matthews, and then you have Holliday. Aaron Holliday at $3,200. You have $3,200. Aaron Holliday would be pretty much the cheapest I'd go. So that's it for a DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. So FanDuel, they continue to price LaMelo a bit cheaper than the other guys. He's priced more expensive than he was typically, but he's still 95 when probably should be 10K plus on FanDuel. Other plays at point guard would be Luka, if you want to get all the way up to him at 10.8. You have nice price tags on Trae Young, on Donovan Mitchell, especially at $7,900 without Conley. You have Rozier at a decent tag at 66, Lowry at a decent tag at 67. And then going further down in the 5K range, you have Suggs at a good tag. Kevin Porter looks amazing at that salary. 4K range, you can look to Colby White, Aaron Holliday, and that's basically it. Right now I'm plugging in Donovan Mitchell. He's just too cheap on FanDuel at 79. Should never be that cheap. Probably plug him in at either spot, but let's see what shooting guard looks like. Shooting guard, you have Bradley Beal at 87. I'll be able to get to him. I like Beal more than Levine, more than DeRozan today. Unless they happen to hold Vooch out, but I doubt they'll do that. Devin Booker, nicely priced at 77. Gordon Hayward at 69. He's more expensive than DraftKings, so probably maybe I like guys like Rozier a little bit more than Hayward on FanDuel at least. Then you have Suggs if there's no Cole Anthony in the 5K range. You have Tim Hardaway if there's no Brunson, who looks a little bit better. And then I probably won't get to like Wagner or Duncan or Kevin Huerter at these tags. Are kind of priced up. For me, I'd rather go down to like Kelly Oubre. 5K gives you upside off the bench. He's pretty cheap on DraftKings, so you could consider him over there if you wanted to play Kelly Oubre. You'll get more minutes if there's no Plumlee, just because they'll go small with Washington at the 5 and just more minutes off the bench for Kelly Oubre. And that's it. You could go quickly if you wanted to, but the mid-range and some of the more expensive guys look better at the position. Small forward Bridges at 82 looks appealing. You can go to DeRozan if you wanted to. That game is, with both sides pretty much all healthy, not one that I'm looking to get a ton of. Both are very solid defensive teams, at least so far. Maybe Chicago gets worse as the year goes on, but so far they've been above like the top 15. We have Markkanen 63, like him on DraftKings more than his FanDuel tag. Kevin Porter, my favorite play from Houston. Well, him and Wood are basically the same, but that giving Kevin Porter point guard and small forward eligibility, he makes it very easy to get to Kevin Porter Jr. at a very cheap tag. Other guys would be Eric Gordon, Kelly Oubre at the bottom here, and Reddish is 47. I like Joe Ingles at 44. Will start most likely again. So Ingles will be the cheap play that I kind of like. Ross for tournaments, always interesting. Some power forward, we have Durant at 10-3. A little bit easier to get to Durant, but they found out as Julius Randle always priced way down. He's only 87. Bam is super cheap at 79, and then Christian Wood is only 7K. So Wood and Kevin Porter Jr. are the two priorities from Houston for me. They're way too cheap on both sites. You have PJ Washington at 47. If he starts without Plumlee today, I mean, if there is no Plumlee, then he would be a very solid option to plug in at either center or power forward. And that's it. I think Aldridge might just be center. He's 62 already, so he's not that interesting. At center, we have Capella at a good tag at $7,800. You can go to Bam. You can go to Julius Randle. I probably won't pay 9K plus for Gobert. And then Mobley is going to be back, so it hurts a little bit for Jared Allen now that Mobley's back and Markkanen is there and Kevin Love is there. So there's still going to be heavy minutes for guys like Allen. I don't know how much Mobley will play in his first game back, but he seems like he recovered pretty quickly after they said he would probably be out like 2 weeks. Plumlee is questionable. Wouldn't be mad if he happens to sit today. Just be a bump for Washington. It'd be a bump for Bridges. Basically the whole team. Just smaller rotation for them. And then at the bottom, don't want to really see anybody that looks that interesting. So probably plug in the 5K range. We did have Wendell Carter, who's only 58. Looks great either way, but if there's no Bamba, then he looks even better. So probably plug him in, either power forward or center. It's easy to get to these guys that have dual positional eligibility, and the matchup is going to be one where you would expect Magic to have to play a pretty big front court with Cleveland playing 3 7-footers in the starting lineup, or at least 3 guys above 6'10", with Markkanen and Mobley and Jared Allen. So that's about it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight. If there's any updates, stay tuned to Twitter, or maybe I might have a chance to make a video, but Twitter is a place where I post my updates at the end. Best of luck tonight. Stay tuned for the NFL video out later tonight, and I'll see you all next time.